All right. May peace and power and elevation be to you guys that's coming in tonight. This your girl Tiffany coming through live in effect. So tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about the protest that's taking place or that was taking place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about human sex trafficking. So there was an article out. It happened Tuesday, where two teenage girls, African Americans, they were missing, and the community been raising concern about the missing report of African Americans, and the lack of Amber Alerts and things of that nature. And so it took police so long to respond to these situations. So the community took matter into their own hands and decided, hey, we gonna fight against this ourselves if we got to. So that protest led to burning down the house that the girls were supposed to be in, and burning the van that the girls were in as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the article, and then I'm gonna play a video clip as well. Okay, here's the article. All right, so the article comes from Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, jsonline.com. It says, here's what we know about the chaos that unfolded Tuesday near a Washington Park home. And this took place in Milwaukee. After a chaotic saga unfolded Tuesday centering around two missing teenage girls in a Washington Park home suspected of being a sex trafficking hub, Milwaukee police said Wednesday there is no indication the girls were ever there or that the house was used for such activity. The girls, aged 13 and 15, were found by one of their mothers more than 3 miles away, police said, and have since been reunited with their families after interviews with investigators. The developments came after a civilian-led search for the girls evolved over several hours Tuesday into civil unrest and a clash between a gathered crowd and police in tactical gear in the 2100 block of North 40th Street. Left in the wake of the events were 3 people shot, including 2 14-year-olds, plus 10 officers and a firefighter injured, a house set on fire twice, and an unknown number of others hurt by the tear gas, rubber bullets police fired into a scattered crowd. It was an extraordinary example of how deeply rooted the frustration and mistrust in the police can be in Milwaukee's community of color. Prominent local activists accused the police of not trying hard enough to find missing persons. Milwaukee Police Chief Alfonso Morales describes the crowd action as banditism. Well, I mean, it makes sense if they have to take matter into their own hands. People have to understand we have to allow the police and the firefighters to do their jobs, said Milwaukee Mayor Tim Berry, who stopped by the scene Tuesday night. The police had been to that house earlier in the day, and the girls were there. The firefighters need to be able to put out fires without worrying about their own safety. But the question still remains about what exactly happened and how a missing persons investigation led to such an outcome. Peace, peace, peace. How you guys doing? For those of you that's tuning in, that's a good question. How did it lead to such an outcome? Well, let me tell you how it led to such an outcome. When you ignored a situation where there's a missing report, it's going to eventually become tiring, and people is going to respond and take matter into their own hands. So when you say people are vigilant, right? What else do you expect? When the police are not doing their jobs or are not putting out or not helping to find the individuals, then the community gonna have to step in. That's what the community have to do. That's what they're supposed to do. So I'm going to read the rest of this article, and then I'm going to play the video. All right, so here we go. What we know about how the situation unfolded. All right, here we go. According to accounts from Milwaukee police and fire departments, along with hours of videos posted to social media, around 5 p.m. Sunday, two girls aged 13 15 were last seen in the 2900 block of North 21st Street. They were reported missing 4 hours later, Sergeant Ephraim Carnojo said. Carnojo said. Morales said police responded to the 2100 block of North 40th Street on Monday in reference to the report of the missing girls. MPD called logs show police twice went to the block that night at 10:11 p.m. for a trouble with subject call, and again 1 hour later for a report of a threat. Police searched the house but did not find the missing girls. Multiple MPD officials said the girls did not fit the criteria for an Amber Alert. Wait a minute. The girls did not fit the criteria for an Amber Alert. And they were not labeled as critically missing, quote unquote. They were not labeled as critically missing because police were not giving information leading them to believe their lives was in danger. Oh, this is hilarious. Then you want to know why people are vigilant, right? That rankled some members of the public who felt the police were not doing all they could to find the girls. On Tuesday morning, a group of people congregated outside a specific home in the 2100 block of North 40th Street after seeing social media posts about the house and two missing girls. Police were called to the house shortly after 10 a.m. after several people allegedly tried entering the home to look for them. And let's see. About 10:15 a.m., Von Mays, a highly visible community activist, arrived at the scene shortly after police. Perhaps 24 people were already there when Mays began an hours-long live stream video over Facebook, which soon grabbed the attention of several thousand viewers. I need to find that video then. In the open minutes of the video, he addressed the camera and spoke about the difficulty of getting a missing persons report going, and that community members had set their own system via social media for listing missing people. He said he went to North 40th Street because a home there had a reputation for housing missing children and he intended to help find them. Let's see. People feel like the police don't do explicit, said May said. So a lot of this, okay, maybe it was profanity. That's why the word explicitive is in parentheses. So it says, so a lot of this blank is us taking our own blank into our own hands. While, let's see. Okay. While police searched the home on North 40th Street, Mays and others walked around the neighborhood, kicking on doors in search for the girls. When they returned about 11 a.m., police had left the scene and the crowd had grown larger. And then I'm going to stop right here. Police said later that the girls were not located there. They just as they had not been the night before. Minutes later, members of the crowd began poking around the backyard of the house. Mays is heard saying that people are again trying to enter the house. 3 or 4 gunshots were then heard, followed by a pause. Then came 6 more shots. Even before the gunshots, Mays repeatedly made remarks about how potentially chaotic situation was brewing. This house is going to calm down, Mays said. I'm telling y'all, it's too many people. Okay, let me see what the brother put. Someone put, the police are probably involved in the children disappearing some kind of way. Don't put it past them. Okay, but here's the thing. Why would they not put out the Amber Alert? Here's the thing that you got to understand, you guys. When it comes to African American children, there is usually no Amber Alert for them. There's usually no Amber Alert, but it's Amber Alert for everybody else. So in this case, the people had to take matter into their own hands because they're like, okay, what are you saying? You're saying that you is not going to put out the Amber Alert for these girls. So we got to do it ourselves. So you guys got to understand there is some form of discrimination when it comes to these Amber Alerts. That's a missing person report. Those girls could have ended up dead. Good thing they were found, but they could have been dead because nobody would have known where they was at. See, have the community not came together and really did the work, and by the way, the people that was out there doing the protesting, it was mostly African Americans. It was African Americans that did it. And 2 girls were African Americans. So for all the people that say, oh, what about what's going on in our community? What about the black on black this and the black on black crime? Now, I don't know if the suspects were black or white. They didn't say. But this is a situation that's outside of police brutality. This is sex trafficking. These are girls that then got kidnapped, that went up missing. You see what I'm saying? So let me go ahead and play the video real quick. I'm going to show y'all what's going on or what took place. Here we go.
Two missing girls on Milwaukee's west side. The search has drawn police and a large crowd near 40th and Lloyd.
WISN 12 News' Caroline Reinwald is there live tonight. Caroline?
Yeah, so behind me here, I'll step out of the way. You can see what we're looking at. A large crowd here near 40th and Garfield. And over there at that crowd, they were starting to break into the houses here. Parents on scene are telling me that houses here are alleged sex trafficking homes where sex trafficking is happening inside. And Jim, if you want to pan to the left, I want to show the amount of police, Milwaukee police, who are here dressed in riot gear. They've been walking back and forth on this street, mainly watching what the crowd's doing. They've seen them breaking in these houses, and they'll kind of walk towards the house for a moment, but then walk back to their line. So a lot of this it seems to be being allowed to have happen. Now, earlier you can see from our video, originally when we arrived on scene, police were raiding a home down the road near Lloyd Street. And allegedly, before we arrived, they had arrested some people out of that home. But things quickly became tense after police had boarded up that property, and people in the crowd started smashing windows of the house that officers had boarded up, trying to break in there. Now, that house, according to people in the crowd here, is known as a sex trafficking house that they believe one or both of these two girls had been seen here a few days ago. And family members say that the girls have been found. I did interview a family member here on scene. They told me that the girls have been found by family this afternoon. Police, however, are not confirming. They say that family has not gotten a hold of them, and the people here are still here upset, even though they've heard that these girls have been found, because they don't believe police have been doing their due diligence in these investigations, searching for missing girls now or in the past. And they also want all of these houses on the street investigated. Listen to what one had to say earlier.
If these girls went missing 2 days ago, where the hell was the Amber Alert? Because I never got one. I never saw one to my phone. I never got alerted about any missing kids. So where was the Amber Alert? This entire city is failing our black children. And that's facts. This entire city is, from the top down, and everybody needs to go.
Caroline joining us.
And so you can hear that tension in his voice. You can see that tension in our video. We're going to stay here on scene from a safe distance, Toya, and keep monitoring what's happening. Back to you.
All right, Caroline, thank you.
He's flying over the neighborhood right now. Let's go to him in News Chopper 12. Matt?
Yeah, you can see the long line of officers at the intersection of 40th and Lloyd, and then there are dozens of police vans and squad cars parked down Garfield toward 39th Street. Pretty much that's the bulk of the response. There are dozens of community members up and down 40th Street, and we saw a handful of them on 39th Street as well. So we'll continue to monitor the situation from above.
Involving two.
All right, you see that? Do you see that? See, if the police have done more, and if there was an Amber Alert, then you wouldn't have got that many crowd of people coming around like that. But let me show you what happened next. See, this is what you got to know, that this is a spiritual awakening. This is a spiritual awakening, people.
We had an update this morning to a story that we first brought you.
No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not what I'm looking for.
Fire to a.
All right. This is the spiritual awakening. Check it out.
To a home near 40th and And Lloyd in Milwaukee. There are reports that home is connected to the search for 2 missing girls.
Matt Salemi is in News Chopper 12. Matt, we can see that house burning below.
Yeah, Patrick, when we left you at 5:30, they had started a van on fire just behind the house, and then there was a small pile of debris that had been thrown out a back window. They lit that pile of debris on fire, and then were throwing items into the back window. The room right at 5:30 just erupted in flames, and the house has been burning pretty much out of control ever since. It took a while for the fire department to get here. We saw tornadoes of flame and black smoke belching out the side windows of the main story as it quickly spread to the roof, and that's where it is now. But they do now have multiple lines of water on the fire, and they're starting to beat it back a little bit. Some of that black smoke changing to more of a steam at this point. But as you can see, there's still flames belching out of that rooftop. Some of the attic must still be on fire as they pump water into the side windows and into the main floor. Now, there is still hundreds of neighbors and dozens of officers still on the scene here. They're up and down the block. They also have a handful of them right here at 40th and Lloyd, a line of officers allowing the fire department to do their work, keeping the neighbors at bay and safe from all this smoke and fire.
Matt, you've been flying over the scene for a while now. At what point did the fire department arrive there on the scene, and was there an access issue for them?
You know, the neighborhood was definitely choked with community members and cars and squad cars and, you know, traffic trying to work its way through the neighborhood. So I would say there was definitely an issue because it took them more than, I'm going to guess, I wasn't timing it, but I would say it burned out of control for approximately 10 minutes.
All right, we can see they're on the scene right now putting water on that fire. So here's a little more to the story. People gathered outside a home near 40th and Lloyd where they say police arrested upwards of 7 people this afternoon. Our crew was on the ground when the crowd was breaking into houses on 40th Street. Multiple people say they're angry because they don't think police care about missing black teenagers and because they believe that some of the houses on the street are used as sex trafficking businesses. 12 News spoke to family of the missing girls earlier today.
What is it with this house behind you?
I heard the house behind me is a house where they take kids, underage kids, and let them smoke, let them drink, and, you know, do unaged stuff that they're supposed to be doing.
So why were the girls, was there some suspicion that they were in this house?
Yeah, it was leads that, you know, tips that told people that they was here and they seen them over here in this area, and that's what made it.
Do you know if they ever were in this house?
Relatives say the missing girls have been found and are safe. However, police have not confirmed the girls were found because they said they have not been contacted. We are looking again live at this home burning. This is 40th and Lloyd.
You see? See, that's what happens. That's what happens. And have you seen the crowd of people? Mostly African Americans, angry people. Now, this is my thought on it. I think it was legitimized. It was legitimized because if you're not catering to the emergency where you got anything could have happened to those girls, and it's a good thing they were found because again they could have been dead, or they could have just been continuously being missing individuals, like the situation that happened up there in Cleveland, Ohio, where I think it was 4 girls that was missing, and they was all in that house the whole entire time, and they loved one didn't even know they were dead or alive or what. They was up in that house for 7-8 years. One of the girls climbed up out the house and was screaming for help. And nobody knew that they were in that house. See, that's the part right there. You see what I'm saying? So a situation like this, those girls could have ended up dead. And I believe that that's what it takes. That's what you got to do. You got to bring street justice. And I think the community did a great job by bringing street justice, coming together and taking upon themselves looking for these girls. They did a good job. They took it upon themselves. They said, you know what? We're going to continue to find them, even if that means we got to kick down some doors. We got to throw bricks at the house. We got to do this and that. We're going to find those girls. And they know about the house over there too. That house was known for sex trafficking. Oh, it was time for it to go. It was time for it to go. It was time for it to go. They had to burn it. It was time to go bye-bye. It was a nice looking home, but it's time for it to go. Because if that's where you keeping kids at and they be gone for days at a time, then it's time for it to go. Now, the question is, who are the suspects? Where are the suspects at? Because, see, they never talked about the suspects on here. They didn't talk about who it was. But this is what street justice looked like. That exactly what street justice looked like. What you saw in that video, that was street justice. And I applaud the community for the effort. I applaud them for that. Because that's what is needed. That is what is needed. So now the police will be more diligent enough and more wise enough to say, you know what? Well, if there's a missing person report, then we need to take it upon ourselves to actually find these missing people. So they need to change the law when it comes to the Amber laws and the missing person report. Because these are kids. These are kids. And these are somebody's children. It's too many children that's going, that's missing each and every day. And there is no type of alert system to identify or where they are or where their whereabouts. And parents, please sit down and have a conversation, especially with your daughters, about going to certain places, certain area, hang out with certain people. Because everybody, let me break it down. Humans can be predictable and humans can be unpredictable at the same time. You didn't catch that. Humans can be predictable, but also unpredictable at the same time. So you cannot always predict a person's character. You don't always know that person's motive. Yeah, the person might appear to be one way to you, but could be totally dangerous or be a menace to society. So they might appear as someone that's very courageous, a hero, but they also are menaces at the same time. And you have people that play both roles of being a hero and being a menace. So this is why, you have to sit down and have these conversations with kids. Tell them, make sure you pick up the phone and contact your parents. Tell your parents where you at so they'll know. If your child ain't got a cell phone, you better make sure they have one. And you better make sure that it's secure. Make sure they be able to get the number and contact you so you can know where their whereabouts is. So you can make sure that they are in good hands, they safe and sound, and they are not somewhere that they don't need to be, especially at a certain time of the day or a certain time of the night. Sex trafficking is real. Sex trafficking is real. If anybody can recall, speaking on sex trafficking, anybody can recall about the R. Kelly situation? Because this sounds all too familiar. Let's go back and let's find that R. Kelly situation. Hold on, I'm trying to find that video. Oh, okay. Let me look under Jocelyn Savage. Okay, let me look up press conference. Hold on, let me find that press conference. Okay, there we go, right here.
Good day.
Yep, he did. Surely did. Yep. I'm about to play that video right now. I'm finna play that video. Because I'll never forget. And I ain't gonna play all of it, but I'm gonna play part of this video. About 3 minutes of it.
For months in, years in, until he released these girls and put them back where they belong. My daughter was off in college at the time, and I haven't seen her since. I want to thank y'all for coming out, and I'm going to let someone else speak. I'm going to let my wife speak, and then I'm also going to let Shantae speak if she want to.
Can you tell us your name first?
My name is Timothy Savage.
And before you leave the microphone, though, can we ask you, it's a pretty serious charge to say that your daughter's being held against her will. How old is she, and what evidence do you have she's being held against her will?
My daughter is, right now, she's 21 at this time. I'm going to ask some questions after this. So if you can hold your questions, I'm going to ask a couple questions for people. So allow my family and friends to speak and guests to speak so we can have that honor to share and put this out here, okay? Thank you. This is my wife, Jonjelyn Savage.
Your name, please?
I'm Jonjelyn. It's spelled Jonjelyn. The house that we're standing in front of today is the first time I've been at this location. But through the sources of Cheryl Mack, which was his assistant that gave me information about the guest house. Also, I have pictures of where the house was, inside this house where he resided, where he had rooms set up for like a hotel for the girls to stay in. And he also had a black room where they do different acts, sexual acts in. And then he had the separate rooms, 3 separate rooms, total 4 rooms in this house, which they have it all identical, set up. My daughter's severely brainwashed. She's brainwashed to the point where she says anything that he asks her to say. She's not the same Jocelyn that we knew when we met. I've reached out to Diane Copeland and Alicia Evans, which are the madams that watches over the girls, and they would not give me any information about my daughter. So we just want him to release her and let her go on with her life, because he's affected too many young girls over the years. And I just wanted her home and to try to get her rehabilitated to the Jocelyn that we know and miss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please give us your name, please.
My name is Asante McGee, Asante. I had an encounter with R. Kelly, and I lived with him at another location that's not far from here. I've participated and witnessed a lot of acts that I did not agree with, and the way he manipulates each and every woman that comes around. I'm blessed to have a strong will mind, and the things that I've witnessed. I have a 17-year-old daughter myself, and I always thought this to be my daughter. I've been reading the blogs. Everybody's saying that, oh, we're lying. R. Kelly's not this monster. He's not that person. I've always been a fan of R. Kelly from day one. I was always defending him until I got behind closed doors. I reached out to the Savages as well as Isabel Clary parents because I saw both of their daughters and I did not like what I was seeing. Again, I felt like if this was my daughter doing this, I want somebody to come out to me and help me. So I've been with them and just giving them as much information that I've seen, just living in the house with them. And it just took a whole bunch of encounters that finally I got the willpower to just walk away. So I've been gone since last summer, but I've stayed in contact with them after I left and gave them as much updates that I could give them as far as the conditions that's treated, where you have to ask to be, take a bath, permission to shower, to eat, permission to go from one room to the next. He really manipulates your mind because of who he is and his fame. So if it wasn't because of his fame and you're happy because you're with R. Kelly, he wouldn't get away with doing the things they want. So as far as these girls, I feel like they've been in so long that they will need help because of the things that he puts in your head and make you believe everybody's against you.
Was this house here?
No, I've never. This is my first time being at this house. I was always at the main location. And I really don't know the address offhand, but it's another location that's not far from this home.
How long did you know R. Kelly?
3 years. Yes.
How'd you meet him?
We're going to step in for a minute.
Okay, so that's all right there. But do you notice the pattern? Do you notice the pattern? I mean, compared to that situation in Milwaukee and compared to R. Kelly's situation, it sounds all too familiar, right? The sex trafficking normally take place usually in a decent home, a mansion somewhere. It's all too familiar. There's a sign. And I do too, brother. I do too. I blame the parents of those innocent girls, especially the father. I mean, because the father, we ain't gonna really go there about the daddy, but the daddy looked really like he was on to something, like he was trying to get his, like he was trying to get his cake. You know what I'm saying? But see, that's besides the point. The point is, this is familiar. This is a pattern. This is how it happens. And going back to what I was talking about in Cleveland, it happened the same way. About 6 little girls were trapped up in the house. And they was in there for 8 years. There was a lot of sex trafficking going on in that house. So what I'm saying is, please, 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 make sure your child is being careful out here, because the streets are dangerous and they don't give a damn. It's a dog eat dog world. It's a dog eat dog world out here. The streets don't give a damn. The streets after whoever. And just because somebody on a celebrity status, that doesn't exempt them from being a possible suspect. But anyways, I'm going to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for taking the time out actually watching my videos. If you are on YouTube, please make sure that you share and like and subscribe. And hit the notification bell so when I come on, make sure you share it with people so that way they can start subscribing to the channel. And if you're on Facebook, you can go ahead and share this video too, and have a dialogue and discussion, because this is what needed the most. So you can expect more subject like this to come from me. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna get into a lot of subjects, even the ones that are very sensitive to talk about. Even the ones that are very touchy, you gotta touch on them. Nobody likes to touch on a very sensitive topic. But the dialogue got to come in. Their awareness got to come in somewhere. So other than that, with that being said, I'm gonna always keep you guys posted, updated on what's going on, as far as various topics. So anything ranging from social issues, political issues, history, education, anything, I will keep you guys posted. So until then, may peace and power elevation be to all of you. And remember, knowledge is accessional. Knowledge is power. The power is in the mind. All right. So always find peace within yourself. Elevate yourself means ascending to the higher level of yourself. Ascending to that higher level of yourself. Until then, thank you guys for watching. All right. Deuces, take it easy. All right.